The Diligence drifted through the shadowed void at the edge of the Veil Nebula, its hull scarred and trembling from the earlier skirmish. Outside the viewport, swirling gas clouds glowed faintly blue, casting eerie shadows across the cramped bridge. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with panic. Lena Chun gripped the console, her fingers trembling as she scrambled to complete the emergency transmission. The SOS signal crackled with interference, but carried the unmistakable signature of Earth, a desperate plea for help sent into the cold, uncaring void. "Bridge to all stations, report." Captain Soren's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and authoritative, despite the rising dread. His normally calm face was pale, eyes darting between flickering readouts and warning lights. "Where's the boarding party?" Before the lieutenant could answer, the ship shuddered violently. Explosions rippled through the outer hull as Threx. Boarding clamps latched on with brutal efficiency. The Dominion warships had caught them unawares, deploying sleek black raiders faster than any diplomatic escort could intercept. "Pressure breach! Starboard corridor!" the engineer shouted. Sparks rained from damaged conduits, and the smell of burning insulation filled the recycled air. Lena's voice caught in her throat. She was a communications cadet trained too. Send messages, not fight. Yet here she was, alone in the comms bay, fingers poised over the transmitter. The SOS was their last hope. "We're not going to make it unless someone answers," she whispered, eyes flicking to the escape pod indicator. One chance. Just one. The ship's Omai, known only as Artemis, spoke in its cold, emotionless tone. "Warning, SOS broadcast. May provoke hostile action. Recommended. Transmit only if no other options remain." Lena's breath hitched. Earth's ancient warnings about the dangers of sending distress signals had been drilled into her since training. But this was no normal attack. The Threx wanted them silent, dead. "Send it, Artemis." "Now," she commanded, swallowing fear. The screen flared with the encoded message. Earth's emblem blinked faintly, a warning beacon hidden in plain sight. She keyed in a personal addendum, voice trembling but resolute. To Earth Command. "This is Diligence. Threx Dominion has captured our diplomats. We are compromised. If you hear this, we need help." The transmission burst into subspace, racing light years toward a home that felt impossibly distant. Behind her, the heavy thuds of boots echoed down the corridor. Lena knew the boarding party was close. She glanced at the pod bay indicator. Escape pods were a limited reserve for emergencies and essential personnel. The chances of rescue were slim, but it was all she had. "Lena, get to the pod." Captain Soren's voice came over the comms, strained but urgent. "I'm trying." She snapped, already moving, heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. The corridor lights flickered, then died as power faltered. She stumbled through darkness, guided only by emergency glow strips along the floor. Metallic clangs behind her grew louder. Threx soldiers, relentless and merciless. Her hand found the pod's hatch release. The escape pod hissed open, a cold vacuum waiting beyond. She jumped inside and sealed the hatch, lungs burning from panic and relief. Inside, the pod systems blinked a live life support, comms, trajectory. But the controls were damaged, and she struggled to set an autopilot trajectory back toward the nearest safe station. The pod's fragile hull creaked as it detached from the Diligence, drifting away into the dark. Lena's eyes welled with tears. The SOS was sent. Now, she was alone, adrift between hope and oblivion. "Artemis, status report. Escape pod integrity at 79%. Life support functioning. Estimated survival time, 28 hours. 28 hours, Lena whispered. "That's not enough." Outside, the Diligence burned. Explosions rippled as the Threx boarding party completed their grim mission. The Dominion would parade their prisoners, diplomats, and scientists through the galaxy, trophies of conquest. But somewhere, far away, Earth was receiving the signal. Lena's fingers brushed the COM panel again. "Earth, please. Don't. Let us die here." The pod's cold silence pressed in around her. And in the distance, unseen by the galaxy's watchful eyes, a deep, slow hum began stirring in the void, a whisper of something old, something terrible, awakening. The price for calling Earth had just been set in motion. The SOS signal burst through the void, sharp and urgent. Though warped by cosmic interference, its message was unmistakable, a plea for help from a Terran vessel stranded near the Veil Nebula. Across the galaxy, countless listening posts intercepted the transmission. For a moment, the chaotic conflicts, political scheming, and cold indifference of the Galactic Council fell silent. On Sidonia Prime, the seat of the Galactic Council, delegates assembled in an immense chamber suspended in geosynchronous orbit above a neutral world. The vast room was a cathedral of politics. Organic and synthetic beings from dozens of species gathered beneath high-vaulted ceilings, their faces lit by the glow of holoscreens displaying the SOS coordinates and the distorted transmissions. Ambassador Rosk, a tall Velari with iridescent scales and eyes like molten silver, was first to break the silence. His voice carried a venomous skepticism. The Terrans withdrew from galactic affairs decades ago. Why should we risk intervening? Now? Earth's silence has been our safeguard. Perhaps it is a warning. The Hadrax delegate, Ambassador Trill, a massive armored reptilian with jagged horns, growled in response. "You forget history, Velari. The humans of Earth are no mere diplomats. They are Deathworlders. Their planet is a crucible of savage survival. Their silence is a mask for predators, not peacekeepers." Murmurs spread through the chamber as species with long memories recalled old legends, humanity's brutal evolution on a planet that crushed its denizens into apex hunters, their genetic resilience and relentless adaptability. To many, Earth was a mythic land of horrors, a place alien species warned each other about in hushed tones. Ambassador Zalen of the Travat Collective, her shimmering wings folded tightly, pleaded for reason. If the SOS is genuine, refusal to respond risks greater chaos. We cannot ignore a plea for help, no matter how fearsome its origin. But if we move too fast, we risk provoking a force none of us fully understand. The debate grew heated, splitting the council. Some urged a military response, others demanded diplomatic overtures. Many simply waited, hoping Earth would respond. But Earth was silent. Not a single transmission echoed back. Meanwhile, the Threx Dominion was reveling in what they called a crushing victory. Their propaganda broadcasts flooded local space images of Terran diplomats and scientists shackled, paraded as trophies before cheering crowds. Threx commanders boasted of their dominion over the civilized barbarians and declared the once feared humans broken. High Commander Vorak, the Dominion's jagged-mandibled warlord, addressed his fleet in booming guttural tones. The Deathworlders are tamed. Their legends are dust. No longer will Earth's name strike fear. Our conquest is complete. Yet beneath Vorak's confidence lurked unease. Reports trickled in from remote scanners and intelligence nets, sightings of a ship matching the legendary Spear of Gaia, a lost Terran dreadnought rumored to have been destroyed centuries ago. The vessel, black as void and armed with weapons thought long decommissioned, was slipping past patrols like a ghost. Old myths and fairy tales, Vorak spat to his officers. The Spear of Gaia is dead. But the galaxy was listening. Smugglers, mercenaries, and fringe factions began speculating. Was Earth merely silent, or was it preparing something far more deadly? Rumors spread that the SOS was not just a call for help, but a warning. On a secretive outpost deep within, the neutral zone, Lena Chen's SOS was decrypted and analyzed by a covert coalition of hackers and spies outsiders who had no allegiance but feared the consequences. The coded subtext in her message was unmistakable, a plea not just for rescue, but for vengeance. "Earth is waking up," whispered Vera, the lead analyst, her voice barely audible over the hum of servers. Her pale eyes reflected streams of data. "They've been dormant for decades, but this is a declaration." Light years away, in Earth's hidden command bunkers beneath frozen polar ice caps, retired warriors and AI-driven warships stirred from their slumber. The planet's military infrastructure, long deactivated, began reactivating protocols buried deep in classified archives. Admiral Kale, a grizzled veteran whose face was lined with scars from wars long past, oversaw the silent mobilization. "The SOS was inevitable," he said, voice gravelly. "But Earth's reply will not be sent in words. We respond with force, but measured, calculated." Biogenetic labs unlock centuries-old research on engineered weapons tailored for every environment, silent killers that could strike in orbit or on the ground. Deep space defense fleets rusted relics to most reanimated with renewed purpose. The Council's divisions deepened as Earth's silence grew heavier. Some factions feared the worst, that Earth's restraint was a fragile veneer covering a predator's patience. Others hoped for peace, but none could deny the shifting balance of power. Meanwhile, aboard her damaged escape pod, Lena floated, alone in the blackness. The distant stars glimmered cold and indifferent. Her SOS had been sent. Now she waited between hope and oblivion for a response that might never come, or a reckoning that might be worse. In the vast, silent halls of the Galactic Council, one truth emerged. The galaxy's sleeping giant was stirring. And when Earth finally spoke, it would not be in whispers or entreaties. It would be in thunder. Days passed in tense silence. The SOS from the Diligence had rattled the galaxy, but Earth itself said nothing. No reply. No acknowledgement. The void swallowed the plea as if it were never sent. In the heart of the Galactic Council's chamber, impatience and fear simmered. Delegates paced, their anxieties etched into every gesture. "Their silence is unnatural," Ambassador Zalen whispered to a small group. "They don't reply because they want to be feared. Or they are planning something far worse." Across the galaxy, satellites and listening posts strained to catch any sign of a response. None came. Instead, rumors brewed, whispers of ancient Earth warships awakening from their crypts, of weapon caches being unearthed in secret bases hidden beneath ice and rock. The truth was more terrifying than most could imagine. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in fortified underground bunkers shielded from prying eyes and space-burn sensors, a new war council gathered. The leaders of a forgotten age-retired generals, scientists, and AI overseers stared at flickering holoscreens tracking the Diligence's final coordinates and the expanding Threx Dominion sphere. "The SOS is more than a distress call," said General Mara Kestrel, her voice cold and commanding. "It's a signal that our patience has run out." In the cavernous war room, walls lined with relics of humanity's brutal past, a fragment of the spear of Gaia's hull, weathered combat rifles from the great interstellar wars, set a holographic map detailing hostile territories, supply routes, and vulnerable colonies. Admiral Kale stepped forward, eyes like sharpened steel. "For decades, Earth has been dormant. We withdrew, hoping the galaxy would forget us. But they took that silence as weakness. They stole our colonies, captured our people, and hunted our diplomats." He paused, voice dropping. "The Diligence's SOS is a call to arms. We will answer it not with empty words, but with decisive force." Elsewhere, automated factories hummed to life, producing warships long thought obsolete. Space docks reopened in hidden orbital platforms, assembling fleets of stealth cruisers equipped with weapons designed for surgical strikes and overwhelming firepower. The most guarded secret lay in Earth's bioengineering labs projects resurrected from classified files. Genetic weapon systems that could adapt in real time, evolving to counter any alien physiology or technology. Humanity's deadliest edge was not brute force alone. It was survival itself, encoded in every cell. Back on the Diligence's escape pod, Lena floated in the cold void, her oxygen levels steadily declining. Time was a merciless enemy. Suddenly, a crackle filled the pod's comm system. A voice deep, modulated, and alien-pierced the silence. "This is the Galactic Council. We have received your distress call." Relief and dread warred within Lena's chest. The voice continued. "You are advised to await extraction. Earth's response will follow in due time. Stand by." The transmission ended as abruptly as it began. Outside, distant stars glittered cold and indifferent. Lena knew that the promise of help was a thin thread in the vast tapestry of galactic politics. The galaxy waited, and Earth prepared. In the shadows of orbital defense stations, an ancient AI system named Artemis flickered to life. Its cold, calculated voice broke the silence. Threat assessment. Critical. Enemy forces mobilizing. Recommended course. Initiate countermeasures. In hidden command centers, old war heroes dusted off battle plans. Old alliances long thought broken stirred in whispered meetings. Earth was not merely waiting, it was awakening. The price of silence had been the illusion of peace. Now, that illusion was shattered. And when Earth finally moved, it would be with a force that no one, not the Threx, not the Council, not any alien power could ignore. The galaxy held its breath. For days, the void remained quiet. Lena Chun's escape pod floated farther from the smoldering remnants of the Diligence, its life support systems inching toward failure. The message from the Galactic Council had brought hope, but no tangible rescue. She was trapped in a liminal space between the cold darkness of space and the uncertain will of Earth. Meanwhile, Earth's ancient machinery roared back to life. Hidden within the deep continental shields, subterranean factories turned out weapons, ships, and genetically modified soldiers with efficiency born of centuries of clandestine preparation. Earth's military-industrial complex, thought dormant, revealed its true strength, an arsenal forged for a war that the galaxy thought humanity had abandoned. Admiral Kale stood before the command console of Artemis, the ancient AI core pulsing with eerie life. "Activate Operation Silent Reckoning," he commanded, voice hard as forged steel. Artemis' voice responded without emotion. Operation Silent Reckoning initiated. Estimated engagement timeline, 48 hours. Far beyond Earth's orbit, sensors detected the subtle shift. Fleets once scattered and disorganized aligned with eerie precision. Advanced stealth cruisers, vessels resurrected from lost blueprints, stealthily maneuvered toward the Veil Nebula. Autonomous drones equipped with deadly bioweapons were launched into deep space. Across the galactic expanse, news of Earth's mobilization leaked through underground channels and smuggler networks. Fear rippled through factions like wildfire. Even the Threx, dominion arrogant and brutal, felt the weight of a force long whispered about in fearful legends. High Commander Vorak paced his flagship's command deck, claws tapping on the console. "Reports indicate an awakening," he growled. "Our spies confirm Earth's armada is mobilizing. Prepare all warships for immediate deployment." Yet, despite the Dominion's preparations, their confidence was fractured. The Spear of Gaia, that ghost ship from a forgotten era, had been sighted again. Rumors swirled that the dreadnought had been retrofitted with experimental weapons enough to level entire fleets in moments. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions. Ambassador Rosk's eyes burned with a mix of dread and respect. "We underestimated Earth," he admitted to the chamber. "They are no longer the isolated backwater we once dismissed." "Ambassador." Zelene's voice carried calm authority. "Earth's response will redefine the balance of power. We must tread carefully. Open conflict with the Deathworlders will consume us all." Back on the Diligence's escape pod, Lena's pod's oxygen warning blared. Time was running out. She stared out into the void, searching for salvation. Suddenly, the pod's sensors flared with energy readings. A dark shape moved silently through the stars, an unmarked ship, its design unfamiliar yet terrifyingly efficient. A voice crackled over the pod's comm. "Lena Chun, this is the Earthship Spear of Gaia. You are safe now. Prepare for extraction." Relief surged through Lena's veins. But the voice carried a warning beneath the promise of rescue. "We come not just to save, but to strike back." The silent reckoning had begun. The black silhouette of the Spear of Gaia cut through the void like a blade, its sleek lines blending with the starless backdrop. Lena Chun's escape pod shuddered as it was gently captured by the ship's tractor beam, pulled inside the cavernous hangar bay with a whisper of mechanical precision. Inside, the spear was a relic reborn. Massive, armored plates engraved with ancient Terran symbols glinted under cold lights, and rows of tarred emplacements bristled silently. It was a ship of legend, a nightmare forged in humanity's darkest wars, now resurrected for a reckoning long overdue. Lena stumbled as she stepped onto the metal deck, her legs weak from days adrift in space. She was met by a stern-faced woman. In dark combat armor, her eyes sharp and unyielding. "Welcome aboard," the woman said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "I am Commander Aaron Voss. You're safe now, but the fight is just beginning." Lena nodded, still breathless. "What happened to the Diligence? To the others?" Voss's gaze hardened. "The Dominion was thorough. They wanted to make an example, but they underestimated what it means to awaken a Deathworlder." A low hum vibrated through the ship as the engines powered up, the spear preparing to slip back into the shadows of space. Lena followed Voss down dimly lit corridors, lined with battle-scarred equipment and cryopods holding warriors from a forgotten age. "The galaxy thinks Earth is weak," Voss continued. "They believe our silence means submission. They are wrong. Earth has been watching, waiting for this moment." Lena's mind raced. The Council's hesitations, the Threx's arrogance, the whispered rumors, it all pointed to one thing. Earth was no longer a passive observer. It was a predator, awakened and hungry for retribution. In the command bridge, Voss gestured to a holographic star map. Red dots pulsed the Dominion's key outposts and supply lines. "Our mission is clear. Disrupt their operations, rescue prisoners, and show the galaxy that Earth still commands fear and respect." Lena felt a surge of something she hadn't expected hope, but it was tempered by a cold truth. The cost of this awakening would be high. Suddenly, alarms blared. The spear's sensors detected multiple incoming contacts, Threx raiders converging on their position, eager to snuff out the resurgent threat before it could grow. "Battle stations," Voss barked. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, manning turrets, launching defensive drones, and preparing countermeasures. The first wave of enemy fighters tore through the void, sleek and deadly. The spear responded with a storm of plasma fire and missile barrages, turning the space around them into a deadly dance of light and shadow. Lena was thrown to the deck as the ship shuddered under enemy strikes. Through the viewport, streaks of laser fire lit the darkness. This was no longer a rescue mission. It was a war. Amid the chaos, Voss's voice cut through the comm. "Lena, suit up. You'll assist with boarding operations. We need every hand." Lena's heart pounded as she donned a combat suit, weapons training flashing back with sudden clarity. The Spear's assault craft launched into the fray, targeting enemy vessels with ruthless precision. The boarding party descended onto a Threx raider, cutting through corridors of snarling soldiers with a deadly combination of tactics and brutal efficiency. Lena moved with determination, her fears melting into purpose. They found prisoners, some wounded, some broken, but alive. Lena's gaze met theirs, and in that moment she understood. Earth's fight was not just for survival. It was for vengeance, for justice. Back on the Spear, the battle raged. Explosions rocked the ship, systems failing and recovering as the ancient dreadnought proved why it was feared. When the last raider was destroyed, the Spear slipped away into the void, cloaking itself in shadows once more. Lena leaned against a bulkhead, breathing hard. Commander Voss approached, her eyes softer now but still fierce. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy will learn to fear Earth again. But the cost will be heavy." Lena nodded, the weight of that truth settling deep inside her. The silent reckoning had begun, and there was no turning back. The Spear of Gaia slipped through the darkness, its massive engines a ghostly whisper against the silence of space. Lena Chun stood on the command bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic map, where clusters of red dots pulsed, the heart of the Threx Dominion's sprawling territory. Every light represented a foothold of the enemy, every one a potential battlefield. Commander Aaron Voss's voice cut through the low hum. "Our strikes so far have been tactical, quick, precise, surgical. But the Dominion believes Earth is broken. It's time we show them the truth." Lena swallowed hard. The truth was a weapon sharper than any plasma cannon, one forged by centuries of survival, resilience, and the brutal will to endure. The Spear's next target was the Dominion's major supply hub orbiting Vocta Prime, a vital node that kept their fleets fueled and their armies fed. Destroying it would disrupt the Dominion's operations for months. As the dreadnought approached the galactic backdrop shifted from serene stars to the battlefield's harsh glow. Threx warships patrolled aggressively, ready to defend their prize. "Enemy contact," the tactical officer announced. Multiple cruisers, capital ships, and heavy fighter squadrons inbound. Voss's jaw tightened. "Prepare for full engagement. We'll hit the supply hub, but we won't leave without a fight." The battle that followed was a symphony of destruction. The Spear unleashed a barrage of ion torpedoes, ripping through the outer defenses of Vocta Prime's orbital stations. Threx fighters swarmed, their sleek forms darting through deadly plasma storms. Lena manned a turret, her hands steady despite the chaos. She could feel the ship's vibrations as explosions rocked the hull. The ship's ancient systems groaned but held firm proof of Earth's enduring legacy. Mid-battle, a new transmission cut through the noise. The Galactic Council. Their voice was calm but urgent. "Earth's actions risk escalating into open war. We urge immediate ceasefire negotiations." Voss shook her head. "The Council's words are empty. They've watched us bleed for decades. Now they'll watch us fight." Lena glanced at the holographic map. The Council's diplomatic fleets hovered far from the conflict, unwilling or perhaps unable to intervene. Suddenly, the Spear shuddered violently. Impact on the starboard side. Alarms blared. A Threx battleship had launched a surprise volley of plasma lances, piercing the dreadnought's shield and tearing through armor. Damage control teams scrambled, sealing breaches and restoring power. Voss barked orders. "Divert all power to shields and weapons. Focus fire on that battleship." As the Spear retaliated, Lena's thoughts flickered to Earth, her home planet, silent and cold beneath the weight of centuries of preparation. The war they'd unleashed was not just about survival. It was about reclaiming a place in the galaxy, where humanity would no longer be dismissed or hunted. In the midst of the firefight, the Spear deployed a squadron of specialized boarding craft stealth vessels designed to infiltrate and disable enemy command ships. Lena volunteered for the mission. The assault was brutal. Inside the enemy ship's narrow corridors, her team faced relentless resistance, Threx warriors armed with advanced weaponry, their snarling faces filled with hate and desperation. Lena's training kicked in, every movement precise and deadly. The boarding party reached the command deck, planting explosive charges that crippled the vessel's systems. As alarms wailed and systems failed, the Spear and its squadron withdrew under heavy fire, leaving the crippled battleship adrift, a trophy and a warning. Back aboard the dreadnought, the mood was grim but resolute. Voss addressed her crew. The Dominion will not surrender, but neither will we. Earth is rising, and we will remind the galaxy what it means to be a Deathworlder. Lena stood quietly, the weight of those words sinking in. This was more than war. It was a reckoning, long overdue. The war cries of Earth echoed across the void, louder with every strike. The Spear of Gaia had shattered the illusion of human weakness, and now the galaxy faced a force awakened, unrelenting, and merciless. Lena Chun stood on the command bridge, watching as the dreadnought surged toward the heart of the Threx Dominion's capital system, Zarak Prime. The once bustling hub of the Dominion's political and military might was now under the crosshairs of humanity's deadliest weapon. Commander Aaron Voss paced behind her, a storm of determination. "This is it," Voss said. "The Dominion thinks they've crushed us. They think they've buried Earth's legacy. They're about to learn what happens when you awaken a Deathworlder's fury." The Spear dropped out of warp into Zarak's orbit, its black hull blending into the shadows cast by the gas giant below. The Dominion's fleet, a swirling mass of battleships, cruisers, and fighters, awaited, prepared for a battle to decide the fate of the war. "Enemy fleet arrayed," the tactical officer announced. "They're ready for us." The dreadnought's guns ignited, unleashing torrents of plasma and missiles that tore through the enemy's forward lines. The battle was brutal. Ships exploded in fiery blossoms, debris clouding the void as the Spear carved a path toward the orbital command station. Lena manned a plasma cannon turret, her hands steady despite the chaos. She could feel the ship vibrate beneath her, a living weapon fueled by centuries of survival instinct and cold, calculated vengeance. Suddenly, an emergency broadcast cut through the comms. "This is High Commander Vorak of the Threx Dominion. Surrender now, or witness the total annihilation of your homeworld." Voss's jaw clenched. "They think they can intimidate us." The Spear pressed forward, launching swarms of autonomous drones designed to disable the Dominion's key systems. The orbital command station erupted in chaos as explosions rocked its surface. Lena's comm crackled. "Boarding party, deploy. Now, target command station core." She joined the assault team as they descended in armored pods, crashing onto the station's surface. Inside, the corridors were twisted labyrinths of steel and fire. The Dominion's defenders fought with brutal ferocity, but the Earth soldiers moved with a savage grace born of their planet's merciless crucible. Lena led the charge, cutting through enemies with precision. The team reached the core chamber, planting charges designed to cripple the station's power grid. "Charges set," Lena reported. "Evacuation in T-2 minutes." As they retreated, the station exploded behind them in a cataclysmic fireball that lit the void like a second sun. The Dominion's fleet faltered, their coordination breaking under the assault. Back aboard the Spear, Voss ordered the final strike, a full salvo on the Dominion's command flagship. The ship erupted in a storm of fire and debris, sending a message that Earth's vengeance was real and unstoppable. But victory came at a cost. The Spear suffered heavy damage, systems flickering as the ship limped away from the battlefield. Lena stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the stars. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's fury, and there was no turning back. The price of sending an SOS had been steep. Deathworlders showed no mercy, and now the galaxy would learn the true cost. The Spear of Gaia drifted in the aftermath of the battle, scars from laser blasts and missile strikes marking its once imposing hull. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy. The crew moved with exhaustion etched deep into their bones, but the fire in their eyes refused to dim. Lena Chun stood by the viewport, staring into the vast blackness of space, where the Dominion's remnants scattered like wounded beasts fleeing a relentless predator. Commander Aaron Voss approached, her gaze steady but tired. "We've won a battle," she said softly, "but the war has just begun." Lena nodded. The galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. They had awakened a force that refused to be ignored, a Deathworlder's vengeance carved in plasma and steel. Come alert interrupted their moment. Voss activated it, and the face of Ambassador Zalen appeared, framed by the Galactic Council's emblem. "Commander Voss, Lena Chun," Zalen began, "the Council acknowledges Earth's power and resolve. Your actions have shifted the balance of power." Lena's jaw tightened. "But at what cost?" "The Dominion is shattered, but their hatred will not die." Zalene's expression was grave. "The galaxy must decide, coexist with a resurgent Earth or descend into endless conflict. The choice is yours." Voss replied without hesitation, "Earth will fight for its place. But we do not seek needless war. We want respect, peace on our terms." Lena turned from the screen, her thoughts heavy. The SOS that had been sent desperate, vulnerable, had summoned not just aid, but a reckoning. Her mind drifted back to the frozen colonies, the lost diplomats, and the lives extinguished in the Dominion's ruthless expansion. The price of silence had been death and suffering. Now, the price of their voice was war. In the weeks that followed, Earth's forces expanded their reach, reclaiming lost territories and establishing new outposts fortified by the latest bioengineered soldiers and AI-driven war machines. Lena returned to her home planet for the first time since the war began. The Earth she found was both familiar and alien, a world healing from centuries of isolation. Its people awakened to a new reality of cosmic conflict and survival. In a quiet moment beneath the pale blue sky, Lena whispered a promise to those who had fallen and those yet to come. "We will survive," she said, "not just as a species, but as legends." The galaxy had learned the hard way. Deathworlders show no mercy, and Earth was ready to pay any price to protect its own.